Well, it is Josh from Evermoore Films back with another episode of the Evermoore Wedding Vendor Show. And on this show, we chat with local wedding vendors to learn more about them and their business and what makes them tick and what they enjoy about their business, and also how they can help couples planning their weddings and other events. So today we have Christine Gonzalez from Delish Cakepops on the show. So hi, Christine. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Josh. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you for being on the show today, Christine. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Okay, well, I'm Christine. I run Delish Cakepops, and I started with character cake pops, funny enough, like for birthdays and whatnot. But slowly I've kind of moved over to the wedding circuit, and now I make something kind of completely different. Now it's cake pops on a wedding cake, and that's what I'm most known for, which is kind of unusual. For a wedding, you see the normal sort of 3-tier wedding cake, but what I do it looks like basically like little balls on a cake, and it's all self-serve. So it's a big showstopper for a wedding. Yeah,
they're super fun. They look beautiful. I haven't tasted them because I'm gluten-free, but they look good and they smell good. You know, I can't smell too close, or then I get sick. Anyways, so fun fact about me. But we're here to talk about your business. So why don't you just tell people how you got started in this? I mean, because it's like we'll see you at events and you really roll up and make this beautiful display of cake pops and stuff, and you just kind of look at something like that and you think, how did you get started in this?
Yeah, well, I've always been known as the sort of creative person in my family. So my older sister, she's the first one that started having kids, and she saw a article in a magazine about these cake pops. This was, oh my gosh, like 12 years ago when they first started coming out.
Okay.
Housekeeping, and it was how to make their cake pops. And so she asked me, hey, can you make some of these for my kid's birthday? It's like, yeah, sure, I can give it a try. Never baked before in my life.
What?
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, let me give it a shot. So,
okay.
And they did actually look like little bears, and this is sort of around Thanksgiving. So I was like, those came out pretty good. Let me try some cookie cake pops and make some for my coworkers, and took them to work. Everybody loved them, and then they were all asking me to make some for their Thanksgiving dinner. So and then they offered to pay me. So
hey,
I was like, all right, yeah, sure. If you're going to pay me,
right. I'll make cake pops for money. Fun. Okay. So how long have you been doing it then?
Since 2013.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, I know you've been around for a while, but I didn't remember when. So I started Evermoore in 2012. So started around the same. I've been doing this for a long time, but I started Evermoore in 2012. So yeah, super fun.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of like, I think we get lost in the dates because Instagram was sort of around then, right? It was like MySpace.
Yeah, it was
Instagram.
MySpace.
I know. Oh my God, Sarah, not MySpace anymore. But yeah, I feel like Instagram really blew up my business. It was 2 years ago that I did my first cake pop cake, and they were bigger, I feel like 10 years ago, and it wasn't really big around Bakersfield though, and it made me really sad. I would always try to ask one of my customers, like, hey, have you seen this cake? Do you think you would want one of these for your event? They're like, no. I'm like, that's okay. I'll just have regular cake pops. I'm like, okay. And finally, a customer asked me, hey, have you seen this cake? Do you think you could do it? I was like, yes, I can. I will absolutely 100% do that for you. And that reel is what boosted me.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's amazing how social media kind of moves you from one spot to the next.
Yeah, social media is a big factor, I know, for a lot of businesses, especially in the wedding space, just because it's a very, I don't know, the two just go together. So that's super cool. So I know it's cake pops and sweets. So tell us a little bit about what different options that you offer.
So, well, with the problem, I think the problem with just offering cake pops is you have a lot of people that want like a sweets table, and so I do offer those from time to time. But like I said, I'm mostly known for my cake pops. So the sweets are like if you want chocolate covered pretzels, chocolate covered Madeleine cookies, which is kind of like a really soft butter cookie, and that's dipped in chocolate, chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate covered jumbo marshmallows, Oreos, caramel apples I do sometimes, and everything's just pretty much like it's not the normal like just chocolate dip with drizzle. It's like if you want the pretzels to say look like a bride and groom sort of like tux and wedding dress, like I can do that. If you want your specific character for your birthday party, like Bluey or Toy Story, I can make the pretzel like with the same colors and even do maybe a like a fondant like character on top of there. So it's like a little more.
I mean, yeah, it's sweets art, you know, like it's not just like here's a cake that I got at Walgreens, you know, or what Walgreens even make cakes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
The elevated sweet is what they call them.
Yeah. There you go. Well, cool. So, okay, so you got started because your sister was like, "Hey, could you do this?" And you've been doing it for, what is that, like 11 years? 2013, 2024, 11 years. So, well, okay, fun question. How have you seen it progress? You know, from when you started to like what you do now, like how have you seen kind of the trends or styles or whatever with cake pops and sweets progress?
Well, it hadn't really changed very much. I think just in the recent years, it's been changing like big time. So when I started 2013, it was the round cake pop, which like you see at the big like conglomerate coffee shop, right? We don't say their name. cake poppers. It's little like juicy inside gossip for you. Like we don't mention their name, but
That's funny.
it was the round cake pops, and Bakerella is actually the head like cake pop queen, and she's the one that created the cake pop. So she started with she had a book that was specific shaped cake pops, and then it kind of stayed like that for a while. But I've seen so many trends go through. Like for a while there were cake pops that they called them zebra tails, and what it was is it sort of looked like a tie-dye cake pop, like a swirl.
Okay.
And what they did was they hung it upside down as the cake was dripping down. And they left it like that. They didn't make it smooth. So the bottom sort of looked like a little pointy tip, and they called that a zebra tail.
Oh.
And thankfully nobody here in Bakersfield asked for them at the time because they were cool to watch, but it was very intimidating. Like, okay, you got to hold your cake pop upside down until it dries completely to get the tip. And they even created someone, I never bought one, but they even created cake pop stands specifically for that you could hang your cake pop upside down.
Oh my gosh.
And that, I think maybe that lasted like a year, and thank God that trend died.
You're like, that's too much work.
And now we're completely, it seems like they're sort of transitioning to flat cake pop, so like a disc shaped cake pop, where now it kind of looks like a hockey puck. That's what it reminds me of. It's like a hockey puck. And you can kind of use, like, think of a cookie cutter for cake pop dough, and you just basically cut it out, like stamp it out, and put your stick in, and then you dip it. And they're a lot faster to make, I will say.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't. Me personally, I don't think they have the same sort of effect as like a round 3D like cake pop. I don't think I'll ever go completely flat.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. So what do you feel like sets cake pops apart from other sweets? I mean, like, obviously you've built your business on this. So you think that cake pops are cool, and different. So what do you like about cake pops, and what do you think makes them unique?
Well, I think they're so much more convenient for the host. Like, instead of getting a cake, which I love the look of cakes. I personally don't like cake. Like, that's a like side note, and it's very surprising when I tell people that, like, I really don't like cake. I've never had a cake.
Do you like cake pops?
I do eat my cake pops. I do.
Okay, good. There we go.
But only recently, like when I was pregnant with my third kid, I wanted to eat I don't know why, but I wanted to eat my cake pops. So I did. Now I can eat them, but before I never used to eat them, and people would ask, of course I get the like, how do you stay so like, thin with all of your cake pop making? Like, well, I don't eat cake pops.
I don't eat them. They're for you, peasants.
Like I make them. That's like what did they say? Like people that don't do, well, that's the saying. I can't remember what it is.
The cobbler's kid has no shoes, and the people who, make it.
Yeah. No, you get it.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like they're more convenient for the host. Like you'll bring out a platter of cake pops, and everybody kind of just grabs for themselves instead of you blow out the candle and then you still have to pass it out. Whereas with the cake pops, and even with my cake pop cakes, like I've done little mini ones that are kind of a single tier, and they hold 24 cake pops. They'll bring the cake out, the little mini one, and people will just grab from it. And it's just way easier, way convenient for the host. And I'm all about convenience and making the like party planner's job easier. So anything I can do to help, like that's what I love most about my job. It's a pretty little piece of cake that the adults enjoy. I feel like more than the kids. The kids are like, oh cool, like buzz, and then they shove it in their mouth. Right. They're like, yeah, but did you see the detail on them? Like it's actually buzz, but yeah. I just think they're so much more convenient than cake. No shade to cake. Like I love my cake bakers, but it is. I feel like it's more convenient.
Yeah, cleanup is definitely easier.
All you have is a stick, right? And then you just throw it in trash. You're fine.
Right. Okay, that's pretty cool. So, what do you feel like sets your business apart from other sweets, companies or other people who maybe make cake pops or different other sweets that you make? What do you feel like is unique about what you guys have?
What I pride myself on the most is that I can make anything into a cake pop. Like no joke. Okay. I have made a lot of different characters in cake pops. Like I think I did Dragon Ball Z. The most complicated one that I did was recently for my 5-year-old son. Of course, he wanted Venom and Carnage. Okay. And I created those, and they had like the little teeth and the nasty tongue coming out. They were gross, but it looked like Venom and Carnage. But I feel like that's what carried my business and allowed it to stay around for so long. You can grab a regular round cake pop from anywhere, and I do accommodate budget. So if you can afford, the crazy Venom Carnage shaped cake pops, then I do know a lot of cake poppers that I send my customers to, and I say, oh, okay, well, that's fine. If you want something a little more in your budget, I know a lot of other bakers that you can go to, and I know they will help you, and I don't have a problem with that. Like,
that's cool.
Detailed cake pops are definitely they're a luxury, and they're exciting, but they don't fit everybody's budget. But I know for sure that if someone wants like a Woody shaped cake pop, like I know someone will send them to me and say, hey, you want a cake pop that looks like Woody? Like go to Christine, because that's what you're going to get. You're not going to get something like, I guess
it's okay.
Yeah, if you turn your head, I can see it. No, like you're gonna get what you paid for essentially with me, and I pride myself on that.
Yeah. Well, I know the stuff that, anytime I've seen your stuff, it's like, oh yeah, you can see the level of artistry to it. It's not just like, oh look, here's a round cake pop with sprinkles.
Which I can do. Like I have no problem.
Right.
I have no problem with those simple orders, and they're definitely a breath of fresh air when I do make them. But
right,
I know what I'm known for. It's the crazy designs that you see on Instagram sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the same for us. Like, we can make any kind of video. And, we do have some people who are like, hey, can you just give me the raw footage? Or, hey, can you just give me like a basic ceremony edit? And like, yeah, we do that. Or sometimes we do stuff for other videographers and they're like, just give me all the raw footage off the camera. I'm going to edit it myself. It's like we're doing 2 of those this year. And it's always fun to like, work for another videographer and do that. But then we also do the stuff that people know us for, which is, the beautiful highlight videos that tell a story and are, usually very romantic and whatever. Like, so yeah, we do the range too. And I get how that it's nice. And it's nice having the variety. Like for me, that's why we offer so many things. Cause I enjoy the variety. If I just did the same cookie cutter thing every single day, I would get bored.
Exactly. And I think that's the beauty of us having our own business, is that we can do what we choose, and we can pick and choose how we want our business to kind of go. Like, if we feel like doing, crazy out of the ordinary things for the month, yeah, let's do that. If not, then we can just hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Do you have any good cake pop stories?
I have a ton of cake pop stories. What kind of recipe do you want? You want the good or you want the bad?
Well, let's start with the bad, and then we can go good after that.
Well, I will tell you. Gosh, I want to say. Well, I want to say for more for like my fellow vendor friends that are on here. I want to say that it doesn't matter how successful you are and how big you get, like, you will end up making a mistake. Like, that's just what's going to happen.
Yeah. I'll have to tell you about mine I've made recently after your story's done.
Well, still sometimes I'll get a message saying, "Oh, what time can I pick up today?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" It's like, "Oh, hold on, let me see what time I don't know." And so I have to look and go, "Oh my."
How much time does it take to make this?
Yeah, I'm like, okay, yeah, you know what? You can come in a couple hours. It's fine. Oh my God. And that's stressful, but thankfully hardly ever that happens anymore. But yeah. I that's the worst of like my cake pop stories, because I do get the occasional kind of rough customer, but really, I don't really deal with that as much as I did when I first started. I feel like I have a better sort of grasp on like those type of people now. So if I feel like they're going to be like that, I'm like, okay, like I see where you're going. Like I'm probably not going to be in your budget, so it's fine. Like you know what, I'm booked for your day.
Right.
But I have other bakery friends that are probably available, and so I send them there.
Yeah.
And either they get what they want, so it's not like I'm leaving a high and dry and say, "Oh no, sorry, I can't help you," and then I block them. No, I don't think I've ever blocked them, to tell you the truth. But no, like my business has brought so many, like I've met so many great people, customers, like lovely customers. Oh my gosh, all the customers that I have, a lot of them have stuck with me since 2013. Oh my gosh, God bless them. So long. But and I love seeing the same customers every year, like, and seeing their kids grow up. There's one particular one that I ship her cake pops every June. I think one of her kids just turned 18, and it's coming up. I'm gonna have to write her, because she does write me like a couple weeks before, like, oh my gosh, I almost forgot, because she's always busy. So
right.
I have to write her, but but yeah, nothing really too crazy. I think my most recent wedding was at the Houdini Mansion, and that was really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
I was going to the Houdini Mansion. They just gave me an address. It was like, okay, yeah, let me show up. And then his picture was right there at the entrance, and that was neat. I was setting up the cake pop cake in his it looked like a memorabilia room. And so I had my husband go around and take pictures of everything so that we could look at it later.
Right.
I had to focus on work first.
Totally.
But really cool. Yeah. So, I mean, I love that my business is taking me so many crazy places. Like, but now I want to hear your story before you forget.
Oh my gosh. So So I did a wedding recently. And I was the videographer, on the wedding, and we're doing preps and stuff, and I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm like, okay, we're going to do the first look, in a bit. And I went, okay, let me pull my, my gear out and just kind of because I always like to plan ahead of time to prep and be ready for things. And so it was probably 45 minutes before the first look. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm going to go grab my, my microphones and everything, because we always put a mic on the groom for the first look. And so I open up my case and I'm like, where's my microphone? And I'm looking and I went, oh, I left it at the house. I prepped for the wedding, and I prepped all my audio gear, and I didn't stick it in the case, and I left it in a pile in my office floor and left for the wedding. And I'm looking and I'm like, I don't have my microphone. I don't have my other microphones. I don't have my DJ audio patch kit. I don't have any of my audio equipment, and I'm at this wedding. And I'm like, honey, I left all my audio equipment at the house. Can you bring it to me? And she was able to bring it to me, and we were literally setting up for the first look, and I still didn't have the audio gear, because we were doing the first look, and I'm just like, okay, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, if I can get the mic, on the camera really close, then we can use AI to clean it up a little bit, and like we can make it work, but we'll have it for the ceremony. Like, we're definitely gonna have it for the ceremony. And then I saw my wife pull up, because I was almost watching the the gate, and she pulled up, and I was like, I'll be right back, and I ran over, grabbed it. All right, put the mic on the groom. Okay, now we're ready. I was just like, so she just barely made it in time for the first look. So we got audio, and we were all covered. But I have never forgotten anything that important ever in 21 years of doing this. And so I was just like, what? Like, I did show up to one corporate shoot and forget a microphone in Tehachapi. And so I just was like, oh, you know what? We'll come back another day for the interviews. Because like it's too windy or whatever. Like, I just made up some dumb excuse. Like, we'll come back another day. But at a wedding, there's no come back another day. There's no like, so anyway, it worked out. But yeah, that was a crazy story. That's called when you're too comfortable and you don't use the checklist that you always, 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 always use. And you just go, I don't know if you can look at my checklist today. I'm just going to do it. If I would have looked at the checklist, it would have went in the box. So anyway, that was fun. There's always something to learn, and there's always things to screw up, because we're human.
Yeah, really. You can't help it.
Oh, man. We do our best.
Good save, though.
Right? Yeah, so thank you, Emily, for saving me on that one. Okay, style question. What is your favorite style of cake pop to make? What do you or maybe it's not a cake pop, but like, what is your favorite sweet to make?
Oh God, it has to be the cake pop cake. Like, I do love the occasional, like, maybe like a design I've never done before. So if they ask me, hey, have you ever done, like, for example, Hello Kitty cake pop? I've done Hello Kitty cake pop, but like, have you ever done a Hello Kitty cake pop? Say I've never done one. Like, oh yeah, sure. Like, yeah, I'm down to do that. And I love the look of, like, after I've done something I've never done, looking at it and saying, like, wow, like, I actually did it. Like, I knew I was going to do it, but I feel like because it's like for a party, you get a little worried, like, well, what if I can't do it? What am I going to do? Like, I'm going to have to do, like, plan B, just make a regular cake pop with a picture of it, which I feel like, like, for me, I feel like would be such a failure. Like, like, I could have done so much more, but thankfully that hasn't happened as of yet. I always figure out a way to do it, but it's that, and it has to be a tie, like, between that and a cake pop cake. Even though the cake pop cake is seemingly the same, it's just like about 200 cake pops on a like 3-tier or 2-tier, whatever. It's putting the final, maybe like floral or gold leaf or topper on top of it, and just the finished look. It always looks different somehow. I don't know how, but it's like magic. And even though I don't always see the reaction from the bride or from the party, I know that as soon as they come in, like when the guests come in, they're gonna be like, "What is that?" Like, "Oh, yeah. It's cake. We can just grab it." And I see when the ones that I have seen, that's the reaction I get. It's like, well, I can just like, just take it? And like, yeah, just take it. That's the point. You just go up to it and grab as many as you want. Like, oh, cool. Yeah,
Oh,
really cool.
that's
yeah, I'd
fun.
say those are. Mm-hmm.
That is fun. Well, this is as good a spot as any to do a quick sponsor break. So this episode is brought to you by Evermoore Films, which is a wedding videography company, and we make wedding videos. And they're good, and you should get one if you're getting married, because they're good, and we like making them, and we're fun, and we have all 5-star reviews, and yeah, that's my sales pitch. I'm not gonna overdo it. You're watching this episode, so you probably already know who we are, and the other sponsor for this show is the Evermoore Wedding Vendor Directory, which is a directory on our website with over 1,000 local wedding vendors. Christine is one of those vendors. And I'm just going to ask you on the spot for a quick little testimony about how you've enjoyed being on the directory and all the Instagram story shares and all the fun stuff that we do with that. How have you enjoyed that?
Oh, I love seeing it. I think the thing I like the most about your wedding directory is that every once in a while I'll get, you'll do sort of like a category. So you'll say, oh, are you looking for a limo service? Well, here are the limo services available in our area. And you'll show all of the different limo services. And I think the very first time I saw you do one, you had tagged me and I thought, oh, what did they tag me for? Oh, here are all the bakers. Like, here's a baker I never met. And so through there, I mean, you find so many vendors that you didn't know were in the area. So whether you're a bride or you're a fellow vendor, you meet new businesses that are and there's always new businesses popping up. So it's always great to put yourself on a directory like this.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you for the on-the-spot testimonial, Christine. I didn't even warn you about that one. Fun. Okay. So let's shift to advice for couples who are planning their wedding, or maybe event, can say whatever it may be. But let's just say couples planning a wedding, and they are looking for something in the cakes and sweets category. What advice would you have for couples who are looking for something like that?
First piece of advice I would say is hone in on what exactly you want for a wedding cake. So the bride and grooms that I've met with recently, and that's why I always ask, okay, first, how many people are you having at your wedding? That's very important because you don't want to get a large cake if you don't need that much cake. And plus, I feel like wedding cakes are expensive too. Like, I know Cakepop cakes, depending on how big they are, they can be pretty pricey just because you're paying for the amount of cake pops. But on the other side, if you get a regular traditional cake, it's about the same thing. So definitely hone in on how many people you actually want to feed with this cake. So if it doesn't matter to you, if everybody gets a piece of cake, then I'd say get it as small as you want. You can even
Look, it's this big.
Yeah, like, it's just for you guys, and that's cool. Like, you guys, like the guests, have them do a sweets table maybe. I've seen lots of brides do that. They have the sweets table on the side, so they have candy jars, they have chocolate-covered sweets, and then they have the cake that they cut, and that's just for the cake cutting pictures, essentially, right? You want to get that traditional shot.
Yeah.
I've seen, recently I did an actual top, like very tippy top tier was big enough for the bride and groom to cut, and then the rest was cake pops.
That's cool.
Because they didn't want actual cake at their wedding. They wanted just their guests to pick off the cake so they didn't have to worry about it, but they did want that shot still. So
that's cool.
I added a cake on top for that. And I say budget wise, if you want to go like save money for the cake, you can ask your bakery, whatever one you decide to go with, is you can do like a dummy cake. So you can still have the beautiful shot of a wedding cake. And then, like I said, the very top you can cut and then have your guests do sweets tables, or you can do even sheet cakes in the back where it's like you're kind of doing like a fake cake cutting. Okay, well, we're going to take the cake to the back.
Right.
And they really just cut sheet cakes. There's
a little switcheroo.
Yeah, they bring out the cut up sheet cake. And my niece and my nephew did that actually for their wedding. They had their 2-tier cake that I made, and then I did sheet cakes in the back for them, and nobody was none the wiser. So it really just depends. Ask if you're on a tight budget. Ask your baker what they can do for you, and if you have a good baker, they should be able to work with you.
Right, and just make sure the sheet cake doesn't say like "Happy Birthday" or something on it that kind of gives it away.
Yeah, go on. Like, have it in it.
They're like, mine says "Happy Birthday."
Blue.
That's weird. That'd be funny. Well, okay, so you brought up budgeting, right? So as couples are looking for cakes and sweets, but maybe more even specifically cake pops, and I'm sure you've got the plain cake pop with sprinkles, and then you've got the super crazy character cake pops. So I know there'll be a range, obviously, but what should couples be expecting if they're looking for maybe sheet cake versus cake pops, just to kind of give people ideas for budgeting?
Oh, okay. I will say nowadays, like for my business personally, mostly I do cake pops. I don't really do sheet cakes anymore.
Okay.
For brides and grooms. That was like my niece and nephew, like a family member. But I do like put the little top tier cake for the bride and groom to cut, because I feel like it's easier. Like instead of telling you, well, I can do your cake pop cake, but you got to go to someone else to bring me the cake. Like,
right.
I feel like it's very inconvenient. I'm all about convenience. So if you are not wanting sheet cakes, then I can do that for you. But the range you're looking for is, like, say if you hire me, is about 60 to 90 per dozen for cake pops. And that just depends on what you want. So the cake pop cake, I price a little lower just because they're just round cake pops that I dip, and I don't dip them fully just because it makes it easier to put together. So those are about 40 to 50 a dozen.
Okay.
It really just depends. So if you want 100 cake pops on a cake, or I think I can do up to 300 cake pops on a cake pop cake. So
oh wow.
It really just depends how many guests we're going to have at your wedding. And one thing I will say that has helped a lot of brides and grooms, I think, ultimately choose me, is I always tell my brides and grooms that on the day you're going to be very busy, which I know, Josh,
yeah.
Brides and grooms are somehow, they're so busy, even though I feel like everything's happening around you,
right?
Everything to you as well. So a lot of times when I first started, I would get, I didn't get any cake pops, or I didn't get any sweets. And that made me so sad for my bride. So now what I do is I make a separate little box for my brides and grooms that book with me. So you don't have to rush to your cake pop cake or to your dessert table. Make sure someone grabs them for you.
That's cool.
You're going to have your own little box that you can enjoy either after the wedding or at your wedding, on your honeymoon. So that's just something a little extra I do for my brides and grooms.
That is super cool. I can remember, back in the day, it used to be couples would be like, oh yeah, I didn't get to eat, or I didn't get to, and you're like, why didn't you? It's like, well, I was running around talking to everyone. It's like, oh, I'll sit down and, So yeah, I feel like, for lack of a better way to put it, there's a lot more care, for brides and grooms now than I think there used to be. Just where people are more conscious of, like, yeah, let's make sure we serve the bride and groom dinner. Make sure that, and if you want to get up and walk around and talk, that's fine. But you got served dinner at least. It wasn't like, oh, you got forgotten.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's how it was at my wedding, and that was 2012. So it was like everybody was eating, and I was like, well, when do I get in line?
Oh.
Nobody cared back then. I'm glad it's better now.
Right? Yeah. My wife and I got married in 2013, so right around the same time. And yeah, we had, great catering. We had hotels, so we know them too, so, but they came and they served great food, and they made sure we got served, and that was great. But like one funny thing, like at our wedding, we didn't get a chance to go around and talk to everyone.
Oh.
And so it's like there were people who, like, we never even saw at our wedding. Like they came and we're like, we never got to see them. And that's funny. It's one of the little random things that I do as a videographer is I'm like, I'm going to go around at some point and just walk around the reception with the camera and the gimbal and just show everyone. It's for the raw footage. This is not a pretty shot. It's not going in the highlight, but it's like, here's everyone who was at your wedding. Because we're like, we don't even know if certain people came, like between us and our parents, we probably kind of saw everyone, but Emily and I, we didn't get a chance to really see everyone. So, it's just one of those little things that I do. I'm just like, well, hey, at least you'll have a video of like who was here. Even if you didn't get a chance to talk to everyone, just random funny things. That is fun. What is maybe the favorite dessert that you've made? Like what comes to your mind as like the top favorite cake pop or something that you've done?
Wow, I got to go through my years.
Right. When we do it for this long, we have to think harder.
Honestly, I mean, like my favorite thing, maybe it would have to be like an event, but oh my gosh, I've been through so many events too. Oh geez. You know what though? I will say, I'll say anything, any chance I've gotten to donate to like a cause. A couple years ago, I did the Easter celebration at the Mission.
Okay.
If you've never heard of the Mission, I believe they're on the east side. It is actually Bakersfield's only non-referral homeless shelter. So you can actually just show up if you don't have a place to go. You can show up there and they will take you in, which is amazing. Usually for a homeless shelter, I guess I didn't know you need like maybe a doctor or someone to refer you to have a spot there. But
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I didn't know until I spoke to the people at the Mission. They were saying that they were, the only non-referral. And I thought, oh, well, that's really sad. But grateful that they are there. So, hopefully in like your show notes, you can put like the Mission. I'll send that info to you so you can see it. But I took them a bunch of desserts for their Easter celebration a couple years ago, I want to say.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, that's always fun to do. I feel like those are the events I enjoy the most. That's like my backwards love language is giving. Like, I don't like getting. I hate getting gifts. It makes me very uncomfortable. But I love giving to like back to the community and everything. So if there's someone that maybe writes me and like tells me they have like a really low budget and they're like, oh, like I really love your stuff. I wish I could, whatever. Like, of course I'll help them out. I say, you know what? Like, for this much, I'll do it. Like, yeah, just because I really want someone's day to be special.
That's super cool. That's cool. Okay, last question. Who else would you like to see us have on the show, Christine?
Oh my gosh. My other favorite photographer, Alexis Hammy.
Yeah.
I would love to see her. Oh my gosh. That's the only person I can think of that comes to mind.
Well, I know we've talked to her about being on. I don't think she's scheduled yet, but.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna have to call her and remind her.
There you go.
I love how meticulous she is. Like every time I've booked with her and every time I've worked with her, she's always like, I feel like we're going to get the shot. So I'm like sitting, right? And then she just comes, she's like, wait. And then she like fixes my hair. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that was wrong. She's like, it's okay. Or she's like, oh, your ring isn't facing the right way. I'm like, oh, there are things you don't, that you don't realize. And yeah, she's very meticulous in that way. And so I love watching her work.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, Christine, for being on and sharing with us about your business. How can people get in touch with you?
Oh, they can find me on Instagram mostly. I feel like that's the best way to get in touch with me. So at Delish Cakepops on Instagram, find me there. You can message me. I do have an email, delish_cakepops@yahoo. Yeah, you can write me there.
Awesome.
That's it.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you for being on the show, Christine. It was fun getting to know you a little more and chat more about your business. And I hope that from watching this, all the other vendors got to enjoy learning about you as well. And hopefully some couples saw this and said, we like Christine and she does some cool work. So let's contact her.
Yeah, thanks, Doc.
All right. Thanks, Christine. Have a good one.